Thank you for listening. If you want to know more about us and our services, please visit our website at www.wsk9co.com. As we're into February and talking about matchmaking and talking to everybody that has had a dog selected, it's fascinating that most of the people that do work for us in our team that have all had dogs selected for them. Shannon, tell us a little bit about originally Miss Lulu.
Originally, how original?
From because I think you saw her a couple of times when she was here in training.
Uh-huh.
And just like what your first impression was of her. I mean, obviously you didn't know that that's eventually who you would end up with, but just seeing her a little bit that you saw her here, just like your first thoughts on her.
I guess, like, we always have all kinds of dogs here, you know?
Yeah.
And when I come and take care of the dogs, I don't necessarily ever know who's going to be here or what's in the mix.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me, sometimes, like, there's dogs that you immediately like and dogs that you immediately dislike and dogs that you're indifferent about.
Yeah.
And the more that you're here, sometimes you're like, oh, I kind of like you. And I would say that's how I felt about her. You know, she's just kind of a weird, scruffy little dog. And I like weird dogs.
Yeah.
That's my thing, I think.
Right.
Weird dogs.
Yeah.
All my dogs I've had have been weird. And, you know, she's a nice little dog. And I just, when I see her, I think, I kind of like you.
Yeah.
Kind of have a interesting personality.
Yeah. And so if we were to go through the process of, describe, going through the process that I would go through with somebody that I'm finding a dog for, describe the dog that you want. We're just going to back into this, actually. So
okay, so like if I was getting a dog, what would I want?
Yep.
So I like a dog that likes to be with me, that's willing to go on adventures sometimes that may or may not be large. I'm not a large adventurer, but mostly I'm at home.
Yeah.
So I like a dog that likes to go, in the car to the drive-thru to get a soda and then go home, hangs around with me, that likes to be a part of the family, a part of the pack, and would have to get along with Louie, who is the dog that I already have, who is like the biggest wild card part of the owning a dog situation.
Right.
Because I'm pretty sure that Mike could get along with any dog, and I'm pretty sure I could get along with any dog.
Yeah.
But I don't know that Louie could get along with any dog.
Yep. Okay, and what kind of dog would you describe would be best for Louie?
A dog that is a girl, I think. He mostly gets along with girl dog strangers. Like, he really liked your dog, Smokey, is one of his, like, favorite dogs that comes and visit. Because we do have dogs that come stay, clients' dogs.
Yep.
And I don't usually let them interact a lot and stuff because I don't like to stress him out. But if a dog's in your house, like, your other dog's going to notice, right? Yep. And you can tell if they like him or don't.
Right.
And so usually dogs that come stay, if they're girl dogs, he likes them better. Dogs that are not afraid of him, because if they're afraid, he'll take advantage of that.
Yeah.
But dogs that are more submissive. So if he says this stuff is mine, then they relinquish it without a big struggle.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. And so there was another dog in the mix of our WS family that another little Frenchie female that she needed a home, and I remember getting a text from you about her, and for me, you and Mike would have been a great home for her, but not in combination of Louie.
Right.
And that's really why there was nothing there for me, because she is a she's going to own it just like Louis owns it.
Yeah.
And I think that it would have created so much stress in him, because I think that he would have been trying to be polite, but the bulldog in him
would be annoyed by it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because bulldog is an intense personality.
Yes.
And they are, like, that's just like the definition of bulldog, right? Like that they're just like, this is mine.
Yeah.
I'm pushy. You're going to stay away from my stuff.
Yep.
I'm going to protect whatever's mine.
Yep.
And if you have two of those,
Right.
then it's way trending toward recipe for disaster.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. And that's what, I mean, that was, for who she is. I think that she would have, in a very bad way, shut Louis down, and then we would have had behavioral problems with Louis, instead of complimenting his personality. And it's funny because sometimes, sometimes two bulldogs do all right.
It just has to be the right
but it has
combination.
To, yeah. And I think Louis is on the strong side of strong side.
Yeah.
And she is definitely on the stronger side. And so she definitely wouldn't be a follower. And I think that would also impact him as well. And so there's definitely a thought process that I had to go through when I think very typical to all of our stories is our significant others and spouses and everybody else says, I'm ready for another dog. In some way, shape, or form, right?
Yeah, because I wasn't expecting to have another dog as long as Louis was alive, because I didn't know if I could find the right combination for him. Right. And Mike was always like, I think we need another dog. I think it would be good for Louis. And, sometimes that's true. Sometimes a dog does need another dog to be completed. Yeah. But I personally felt like he liked being like the prince of the house.
Yes.
And not having anyone interfere with that position for him. Right. And Mike he does always say, oh, I think we should get another dog. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No. But then, my sister got a puppy.
Right.
And then I don't know if you just get puppy fever when everyone's getting a puppy, then you want one.
Because that's kind of what happened with all of us.
And he just said something in the car one day about, something about we need a puppy. And it took me really by surprise. And I said, do you want a puppy? And he said, is the sky blue? And I thought, okay, we are getting a puppy then. Yeah. And that's when I texted you, because I knew that puppy was available. Right. But I mean, I'm really open to whatever puppy it would be. Right. I just knew that one was available. Right.
Right. Yep. And I know that it really does take, I mean, I guess you can say this with a lot of breeds. Like, it takes a special person to own a German Shepherd, and it doesn't really take a special person to own a specific breed. But I think it takes a certain personality to handle a bulldog, and I think it takes a certain personality to handle a Shar-Pei. I think so. It definitely, when you're confident around the breed, it's easy. It's just like we could take in a German Shepherd. Like, no problem.
And that's like we've been talking about to everybody about like their dog soul, right? And I think my dog soul is a bulldog. Yeah. Yeah. Like I'm nice and I love my family, but if you mess with me or you mess with my family, you better watch out. Right. And so because that's what I am inside, I understand that better than other people. Maybe.
Right. Yeah, and so but for me, I didn't feel that. I felt like there needed to be a softness in your household, and to balance all of that out. I think sometimes it's hard to have German Shepherds in our household because were very much so soulfully were that, that trigger adds something different. And that was kind of my thought process. And I also felt like a puppy would be more difficult on Louis versus
stressful, because you had to teach it more.
Yeah,
because whether it puts the dog in the position that they have to be like the teacher,
right?
And if their personality isn't the teacher, then it's really hard, for them. And and I think that would be hard for him because his teacher was me,
right?
You know, he didn't have a dog teacher, so I don't know that he would know how to do that appropriately, without being too harsh or too extreme.
Yep, exactly. And so that was my other is, you know, he didn't have a mom to teach him, so he doesn't even know what that looks like, a dog mom. So to take a puppy and teach, you know, to put that responsibility on him was also another thought process of mine as well. And so when I reached out to this client, I don't even know why I reached out. I mean, I needed to get some of my equipment back from her. But it was more of a reaching out to see how she was doing, because I knew that they were struggling with her, because of their lifestyle, not because of her, because she's actually really a fabulous dog. And I don't typically reach out to my clients, you know, once things are kind of settled in, they don't need me to babysit them along the way. And so for some reason I had this, you know, I just need to check on her. And then she was incredibly embarrassed that she actually rehomed the dog. And then it really came down to that this other lady that took her had her sister, and that it was too much. It was too much in the household, and they just really needed to rehome her. And knowing her and the time that she spent with us, because she spent a lot of time with us, it felt so perfect, because she has a little Spitfire in her.
Yeah, she's sassy.
Yeah. And so
we call her Sassy Sassafras.
So she could handle that piece of Louis without getting her feelings hurt, and still have the confidence to move on, but not be the aggressor and get angry with him. And she definitely is in her own mind, really. I mean, she is kind of opinionated into how things are going to go. And so I felt like it was a perfect match. And so from that point, when you got her home, kind of tell me a little bit about that whole experience.
Well, knowing Louis, that he gets stressed about things and can be aggressive about things and possessive about things, I felt like it was important for me to watch him, but not put weird energy, not expect him to be bad.
Yeah.
Because if you put that energy of expecting him to be bad, then it will cause weirdness. Yeah. And I do try to do that when I have other dogs stay at my house too, try not to project weird things onto him. Yep. But I do want to watch him and make sure that he doesn't hurt her. Yeah. But it's kind of like, let's just see how this goes. Right. And you might expect him to behave a certain way, and he doesn't, you know. Yeah. He liked her a lot. He tries to play with her. She can't tell it when he's mad and when he wants to play. Yeah. Yep. You know, she's getting more used to it. Yeah. And they have been playing a little in my yard. I'm trying to catch it on video so I can put it on YouTube for everyone. So, but yeah, he shares really well with her. He'll let her have high value objects. Nice. You know? Yeah. We have the Nylabones at our house, our high value. And really early on, he would be chewing one end and she would be chewing the other. Nice. If I give him usually both the same treat, because he's weird about food. So I always give him everything the same. Yeah. Both their food at the same time. If one gets a treat, the other gets a treat. Yep. He'll take his treat, go run in wherever he wants, on the bed, in the bedroom, wherever he thinks the good treat spot of the moment is. Right. And then she'll take her treat and run right by him, and they'll eat treats together, and he doesn't ever try to steal hers even though she takes longer to eat it.
Nice.
So he's really respectful of her.
Yep.
And it's like amazing how well that they just get along.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, he'll have a little, this is mine, tiff, yiff, you know. And she'll just, okay, whatever, it's yours. I'll go over here.
Yeah.
And if he gets too pushy trying to play with her, she'll say, no, I'm not playing with you. And he's like, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Let me be more soft. Let me do this differently.
Yeah.
We'll play tug of war, everyone in the house tugging all at the same time. He's very, very wants to get along with her and wants her to like him, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like he's learning a lot from her.
Yeah.
Because he didn't get that. And so he's learning that of, I need to be softer if I want you to play because you're reading that wrong. Yeah. As far as having her in your home, having a dog kind of selected for you versus a dog that you've either just had to deal with or you've taken on, what's been that overall experience?
I always wanted you to pick a dog for me for as long as I've known you. And when I got married, I didn't expect to have Louie.
Yeah.
And I told Mike, when we get a dog, Joe's picking the dog. And you just have to take whatever it is. If she picks a poodle, you're getting a poodle. I don't care. And he's like, okay. And he would love any dog. Like, he doesn't have any, like, I need this kind of dog or anything. He would take any dog, but, I had to just tell him that.
Right.
And he did get a lot of crap at work for getting Ripley because he took pictures. Look at my dog. And all his friends are like, oh, why didn't you get a real dog? And he's like, this is my real dog. It's my puppy. I love her. He teaches her to do tricks. Nice. He has all kinds of games that he plays with the dogs. So he would take any. So I always wanted you to pick a dog for me. And if I hadn't have gotten Louie first, you would have picked our first dog. Nice. Which is interesting because I am usually the dog picker. I've picked all the dogs for all my sisters. And I have picked dogs for myself and just like randomly gotten dogs for myself. Yep. But it's kind of fun. I didn't know the dog as well as you did.
Right.
So, I mean, I totally trust you to say this is the right dog because you know me and you know Louie and you know our family and how we are and what we do. And so, I mean, I just totally had trust that this was the right dog. And so for me, it was just like, let's get to know you then.
Right. Right.
Because I don't know you yet.
Yeah. What, she came with some stereotypes or some baggage, we'll call it.
Right.
As to why she was such a difficult dog. In the first household that she was in, she was incredibly vocal, incredibly demanding, and she was running away. They didn't have a fenced-in yard and front door constantly in and out. She really just wanted to kind of hang out, but that was just not the nature of this household. And so their complaint, she's just too much. She's too demanding. She's constantly running away from everybody. And so they rehomed her. And so they rehomed her with their friend who got her sibling. And then two puppies one was too much. And the biggest complaint there was her destructive behavior of chewing rugs and carpet and taking clothing and underwear and socks out the dog door and chewing them up and taking them all over the yard. And so two puppies is just too much. She couldn't watch and, but she's a great dog but she's just destroying things. And her sister that the other gal had was just perfect. Right. And so, but they felt guilty because that's not what you're supposed to do. But, for me, it's just not, that's fine. I've got a place for her, So what have you found that she has brought to your house as far as baggage goes?
Naughty behavior. I've adopted dogs from the animal shelter before, and they tell you that stuff too. Why the people gave up the dog, and I have not found those things to be true in those dogs
Mm-hmm.
that I've gotten.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just try like not to believe it. I watch, you watch
Sure.
to see, is this really going to happen?
Yeah.
And try not to put weird things like if a dog eats shoes or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, you're totally obsessed about shoes. It's going to make them weird about shoes.
Yep.
So it's better just to like believe that they won't do it and see what happens. And I mean, she could be a different dog at a different house too.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
So let her be what she would be with me.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't have to be what she was in those other houses. It's a
right.
new place, new family. Be what you are and see what that is.
Yeah.
So, I don't find her demanding. I don't find her destructive.
Mm-hmm.
Last week was maybe not even last week, maybe like 2 days ago, was the first day she took one of Mike's shoes out of the closet and moved it to a different room of the house. And I've had her for 2 months. And that's the first time that and she didn't chew it all up.
Yeah.
She just moved it.
Fascinating.
To another room of the house. So I guess, maybe she's feeling comfortable now. And so the naughty stuff
Possibly.
might start to come out. So I'm just watching for that.
Yep.
But she hasn't destroyed anything. I mean, a toy. Dogs destroy toys all the time.
Yeah. Yep.
So they're like, she's like a little mousy killer. So if we have little teeny toys that squeak, then she's like, mousy killer.
Yeah. Yep.
So we had one de-stuffing, but no shoes, no underwear, no laundry, no blankets, no dog beds, no rugs, no carpets, nothing in my house has been destroyed. Being demanding, I don't know what the definition of that is for those people. If they didn't like the dog to want to be with them, maybe.
Sure.
I don't know. My dog Boston, at the shelter, they told me person gave him up because he was too annoying, and I think it was because he wanted to be with you.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if demanding and annoying is the same for the people that had her before. Because she just follows you wherever you go. Yeah. If I'm in the office, she follows and sleeps on the bed immediately. I didn't have to teach her to go to a place. Yeah. She likes the dog bed and she would go and be there. I do have her ask to get up on the bed, up on the sofa, which I think she has learned from Louis because Louis does. So I didn't really have to teach that. She just followed his example. Yep. And so, asking to get up on the sofa could be demanding, but I mean, everyone's already on the sofa and we're all cuddled up and reading a book, and then she asks to get up. Yeah. So I let her up. Yeah. So I don't find her demanding, but she does ask for things.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I think all dogs do. So.
Yeah, they're going to look for opportunities, or they're going to, Yep, for sure. What have you found to be the most challenging thing about her?
Don't know yet. I haven't found anything. Well, so when I first got her, my mom was having surgery, and I went to stay at my mom's, and I thought it would be too much for Mike to have Louie and a new dog that nobody knew, because he might worry that he had to protect her or something, because we didn't know at all. So I took her with me to my mom's for 3 days, and it was just me and her at my mom's, and so that might have gotten some of that out of the way right away, where she was just with me and she had to follow me and go with me and eat with me and sleep with me because we were staying at my mom's. And so just taking that little trip right off the bat at a totally weird place and then coming home probably helped her to follow me just right off the bat.
Right. Yeah, this is our new life. This is what we do. Yeah.
And we might go stay at this weird place. And we might stay here, and we might be whatever, but we'll be together, and you follow me, and we'll be okay. Yeah.
And you haven't ever felt like her running away or door bolting or
she ran away from me one time, and that was the first time we were outside in the yard. a fire engine drove by, and it just scared her.
Yeah.
And she didn't have confidence in me because she didn't know me at all.
Right.
And she ran away. She has not run away any other time. Anytime I call her, she comes, but I haven't done off-leash calling with her, so we'll see.
Yeah.
She does want to go out the door. However, in my house, that when you come in the door, it's like lower than the rest of the house. And so I just always make the dogs stay up on the step to come in. And so just every time that you come in the house, you're like, no, get on your step or whatever. And then once she's up there, then it's like, she's so happy to see you when you come home. So when you come home, you see Louie, and he wags his tail one time. He barely has a tail, but it wags like boop, boop. That's his like, I'm happy to see you. Where this dog is like, oh my gosh, you've been gone for a million years. Like, and she's like, her whole body wiggles. So we don't get any, oh, I'm so happy to see you. Oh, I love you, unless you're up on that step. And so when you come in, she's just up on the step now. She doesn't run out the house. So I haven't had any problems with her running out of the
trying
house
to get
either.
away.
So... And I have walked them two together. Like, we started that. The first day she came to my house, we all went on a walk together. And then we went on a walk together every day for, like, a while. We haven't, since she just had surgery. So we didn't walk when she was having surgery. But I think that's a thing, too, that helps them, like, we are walking, we're all going together, and it helps them not, like, run away. But I haven't had any problems with that. I haven't done any off-leash things, though, so we'll see.
I mean,
it'll be a YouTube series.
Exactly. 2
months. I've only had her for 2 months.
Right. And I think that, but I think that some of the biggest things that, if we sit down and really dig into our relationship, our connection with the dog, they either want to be with you or they don't want to be with you. And it's not something that you can force. And being in the other homes that she was in where she wanted to run away, her needs were not being met somehow, and I'm not saying that that's the case with everybody, but it just wasn't the right home, obviously, because she was rehomed. And then in the other home, destructive behaviors are just, there's some needs, there's stuff that's missing. And so, they don't know that it's a rug. There's just, they've got some anxieties that need to be addressed, and obviously it was not ever addressed. And so she progressively got worse. Stilling things got her attention. And so why not still things to get the attention? Because obviously the household was so busy that they really didn't have the time for her. And so in being in a home that's the right home, where she's getting those needs met, there's no reason to leave. There's no, she knows how to run and bolt and get out of places, because she did it time and time again with them. That's
interesting. I didn't know that about her. And that's one of those things. Just don't know. Just
you do. Yeah, exactly. Yep. And so, so she knows how, and if she wanted to go, you would have experienced it already. Because she's been around different places enough to...
I feel like the proximity to the door is in relation to the excitement for me to come home. That's what I feel like it is. Not a desire to see what's in the great outdoors. It's like how close can I get to you to say hello to you, to the door.
Right. Yeah. And so, for me, I find it's a really big joy, especially when we've had dogs come into our home for training, and you put so much time into them, and you just, I just knew from the get-go, it was just not, she wasn't in the right place. But, people don't really believe that. When you get out there,
well,
and you're
like... Well, they kind of want to make it work.
Yeah.
I think people do that in relationships, too. Right. They tell themselves the story that they want it to be, instead of it accepting that it's not the right relationship, or whatever, and eventually they fail, or they tear you apart or whatever. But if you just don't lie to yourself, I don't know why people feel guilty that it's just not right.
And I don't believe, I don't think that dumping him at the shelter is the right thing. Because I believe there's enough people out there that want dogs that if it's not the right match for you, and that's what you tell people, it's just, this is not the right match. It's just not, that people are really understanding, and that, it's pretty stinking easy to find homes for your dog if it's not the right fit.
And I don't have any judgment for whoever has previously owned the dogs that I have.
Yep.
They didn't like them, or they didn't get along, and that's okay. It's
right.
I don't think they're horrible people.
No.
I don't think they mistreated their dog.
No.
I don't have any bad feelings towards any of them. That wasn't the right dog for them, and it was the right dog for me.
Right.
And I'm so happy that I have the dog.
Yep.
Because then it's joy for both of us.
Right. Right. It's such a different relationship to have than to battle this and for everybody to be miserable. When it's a dog, owning a dog shouldn't be stressful. It shouldn't create chaos into your home. Sure, it can be a little stressful at times as far as raising a puppy or, getting into routines, but it shouldn't create a bad anxiety that it's just not fun. Nor should it create fighting amongst family members. And so I think that when you get to have that experience, that it doesn't matter who owned the dog before, none of that matters. It's what your relationship is and how it fits into your home. So it's really rewarding to have her there. There's dogs that come through that you just, they just kind of have a soft spot for you, in your home.
You just like them. I don't know how you explain, you just like them.
Yeah.
I just like you.
Yep.
What is up with you?
Yeah.
And she is a very likable dog for me. She's very sweet. Yeah. She's the sweetness and the sass at our house, you know.
Yep.
But she's just very lovely, loving, soft, sweet dog.
Yeah. And I would imagine for Mike that it's a little bit refreshing to have that versus the manly man at the house.
It's a lot easier. Like you feel bad to say that your one dog is way easier than your other one.
Sure.
But you're like, oh, you're just so much easier. Yeah. Some days.
Yep.
You know, maybe you feel that way with other members of your family too.
Oh, sure. Oh, totally.
Sometimes you're like, oh, you're just so much easier.
Right.
But yeah, she's just easy. Yeah. Easy for us.
Yeah. What questions do you have for me?
Oh, I don't know. What would you have done if we wanted a dog and you didn't have that dog?
Yeah, it's funny how the timing all happened with that one, huh?
Yeah.
It would have taken me some time. I'm not have to go to the shelters to find a dog. So we would have sat down and gone through, what do you want in a dog? What's the ideal dog? And then, what's the ideal dog for Louie? Or, just we would have to definitely find the personality and then look at size and looks and that. And then I would have gone on to what we have here, the local classifieds. And I knew that, and knowing that we can't have a newborn in the household, I would have gone on and on our classifieds here and just started looking. I would have put some feelers out with my connections in the rescue world. But the only reason why I don't typically go that route for me when I'm looking for dogs is one, I believe that they all need a home no matter what. They could eventually end up in the shelter anyway, so let's get them in the right home. But I typically don't go that route because I feel that there's a lot of judgmental things that happen in the rescue world where you'll get turned down for a dog for reasons unknown. And that's happened to some trainers that they were trying to adopt a dog from a rescue, and they've got their decline letter saying that they're just not the right home, and that's not okay. And so there's a piece of me that I just don't want my clients to go through that, because I know their home. I know, even though they may not have had a dog in training with us, you get to know them and what's right. And so for me, I just start looking through. People are always trying to find a home for a dog somewhere. There's always something. And I'm always looking for those. I've seen signs, on storefronts, and I'm like, oh, that's curious, And so it definitely becomes more of a feeling at that point, because we're not pinning down a puppy within a litter. And so, I'm looking for a very specific age group where we're under a year, but we're not an infant.
Phase,
yeah. And so, so just really starting that process and looking and then calling and talking to the people as to, tell me what the baggage is, why, the dog is lovely and it's perfect and it's wonderful. Well, that's great, but you're not keeping the dog. And so tell me why you're not keeping the dog. And, just really getting that out of people. And so at that point, then it really would have been looking for the right personality. And with that, I typically can find, at an adolescent with a juvenile dog, I don't need to see it to know what the personality is. Whoever the dog is with, as long as they can describe that dog to me, I can pretty much figure out what they're like, either from underlying things or that the people are truly being honest about what they're seeing. Either way. So that's the process, and most people that that start this process with me, puppies or not, I always tell them it can take up to a year before you have a dog in your household, because the right one has to come along, and it's not just we have to have a dog next week. I just don't believe in that, and I have to go with what my dog soul says too. And sometimes you'll have a dog in like 24 hours and other times, it's going to take some time. And we'll have a couple of other people on the podcast. That one is, she's in the process of finding the dog, and she has an ideal timeline, and that timeline is not happening. So it really is just keeping things into perspective of a dog ownership is not about going and getting one right now. It doesn't normally happen that way for me. So that's the process that I would have gone through. There are some people that don't have the patience, and they'll just jump in and think that they've got the right dog, and it's not. So, and I've had that happen. I've had the time that people are just like, oh, we couldn't wait any longer. We went to this is what we got. And that's fine. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So yeah, that's the process that I would have gone through with you.
We talked about like the hard part about matching it, like Louis and his like assertiveness, I guess, quality, assertive quality. What do you think are the easy things to match, though?
The easy things to match with Louis?
Yeah.
Is that he is so clear about who he is. There's nothing secretive about Louis. He's consistently inconsistent, but his reactions are all consistent. And so we don't necessarily always know that at 4:00 on Tuesdays that he's going to guard his crate. Right. He's consistently inconsistent, but we know how he's going to guard his crate or his spot or who he thinks should be where. He's really consistent with his communication with it. And I think part of that is because his primary influence through his imprinting stages are human beings. And so his reactions are a bit more human-like, a bit more predictable than maybe another Frenchie that was raised with other dogs. Sometimes they're more difficult because there's a rawness to them that can come out. And so it's easy because if he shows you once that that's how it's going to happen, that's how it's going to happen every time. It's just, when he stayed here, me just totally being oblivious to him having his food in his crate and what happens with it, I mean, oh, got it. Okay, we just need to change the picture because he would do it every time if I did it every time that way. And so that's the easy part. He's actually really easygoing, meaning that he trusts his people. That telling him that this dog's here and it's going to stay here is not just, it's not going to go home anytime. That he may have questions like, oh, I like you and you're here and this is kind of a fun novelty. But then when she didn't leave, he didn't start behavioral things. He stayed true to who he was. And so there was no, he was just, okay, I trust this process. And so he's been the same, which is typically what was easy about him is I know that he's going to trust you guys, whether he agreed with it in the beginning or not. He would have been clear about it, but he also would have turned and said, oh, I think I just need to stop this because it's not going anywhere. So he's got some difficult things about him, I guess, but he's at least consistent with the difficult things, and that's what makes it easy. So with Chianti, she's not predictable, and so there are some dogs that she just out and out will not leave alone, and it's difficult to pair up another female to her, and so that's what's nice about that was the easy thing for me for Louis. Cool. Was that. There's also a piece of him that he is genuinely happy, and it's he doesn't, he has his routines, but he's just really kind of a happy guy.
He is, yeah.
So you don't have to worry about the weirdness that some dogs go through when you bring another dog into the household. I mean, he's going to be kind of happy with whatever, because he's going to be true to who he is. So
cool. I can't think of any other questions.
Okay. It is fun to, they just, as we're talking to our listeners, Shannon has a series on our YouTube channel with Louie and Ripley. So anybody wants to get on and see who they are as we're talking, it'll be a good pair for anybody to want to see. So let me just add one more thing in here. Her name was Lulu. And you changed her name. And tell me a little bit of psychology behind changing her name.
Oh, well, first was like we have Louie and we call him Lulu. And so I thought Lulu and Lulu wasn't gonna fly.
Yep.
Right. And also I feel like sometimes you can have a fresh start if you have a new name.
Yeah.
And some dogs can't do that.
Yep.
Some dogs you have to keep their name, and sometimes the dog is their name. Like my dog Boston. I don't know if the shelter named him Boston or what. But when I met him, he was Boston.
Yeah.
And the foster parent told me he didn't know his name, which makes me think they maybe named him something different. But, when he was with me, then he was. Yeah. He was Boston, and that was his name. So that was fine. This dog, Lulu didn't, fit her to me because that's, I don't know, princessy. Yeah. And she's not a princess. She's a sass. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yep. And so I felt like she needed a strong girl name. Yep. And so I wanted to name her Ripley after Ellen Ripley, who is the main character of Alien, my favorite movie. And which is a good name, Yeah. And then I was like, oh, well, I'm going to have to think of some other names, in case my family doesn't like that. Right. Yep. And so I made this list of names and I was like, okay, here's a list of 5 names or something. Vote. And Ripley got the most votes. Nice. So and we waited several days to name her too. We didn't pick it right away. She lived with us for a while and I didn't call her Lulu. She didn't call her anything.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah, which is great.
Hey, come on, doggies. And then they come.
Yeah.
So, it's just like be a new, strong, sassy girl that you are and have this new name and be a part of our family.
Yep. And I love it. And I actually suggest that to people all the time is change their name. It doesn't matter who they were. They can become who you want them to be. So I love it that you changed her name. It's one of my favorite things, and it's hard for people to comprehend that because dogs aren't connected to their names like we are. I always wanted to change my name because Joe was really hard to grow up with until I got old enough to own it and that it was really, I could use it to my advantage. So, and I don't know that I would have done well changing my name. I don't know. We have a really good friend who's a doctor, and she changed her name before she became a doctor because she really wanted this doctor name. And so she legally got her last name changed, so I love that you changed her name. So I think it's great.
Thank you for listening. If you want to know more about us and our services, please visit our website at www.wsk9co.com. And as always, we urge you to get out and train.